we go. Fantastic. So yeah, like I was saying, the textbook, this will be for ours. If you're here every day, you can leave it here. If you think you're not going to be here, you should take it with you, but you got to be responsible for it. And we will collect them at the end of class, and it is $30 to replace it. So yeah, and just like I said, the textbook, it's for you. I recommend doing it. What else do we have in there that's really good? We have some tips for coaching new drivers as well as driving tips, lessons you can do, as well as the driving log. We'll talk about this more when we get in there. Okay, so let's just get started right now here because we got some people here in the Zoom meeting as well. This is the Discount Driving Schools Teen Policy Sheet 2025. I'm your instructor for this class. My name is Brian Jackson. I've been teaching high school and middle school for over a decade. So you'll find me to be very reasonable. I've got no problem repeating things for you multiple times. I got no problems with any complaints or requests. And so, yeah, I would say that is assurance both for students and for parents, right? Like I've got no problem with accommodating you. And, sometimes I move kind of fast. If I am moving too fast, you've got every right to tell me to stop, right? Stop, repeat it, slow down at any time, right? Like we're here to serve you. We're here because you guys are here paying for a service, and we want to do the best job we can giving you that service that we can, right? Because like at the end of the day, our business counts on pleased customers, happy customers, right? If people like the service they get, they're going to tell other people. If you don't like the service you're going to get, you're going to see those guys at Discount Driving. There's some idiots, you know what I mean? They're not nice. And you know what? There's dozens of other places you can go, right? So I've got a big incentive for you to both as students and as parents to be pleased with the service that we get here. And so, yeah, let's just jump in here real quick on the next slide here. What's going on here? This is the classroom policy sheet again. We offer a comprehensive teen driver education program designed to meet and exceed the Washington State Department of Licensing requirements. The program includes 30 hours of classroom instruction and 6 hours of behind the wheel practice and 1 hour observation. So this is the first 2-hour class of 15 classes. We'll have 15 classes. I believe this one we're planning on it ending April 8th. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe that's what it is. 2 hours, 15 classes a piece, 6 hours behind the wheel after our third week. So not this week, not next week. The week after that, we will start signing you up for driving lessons. Okay. The minimum everybody gets, depending on the package you got, is going to be 6 hours, okay? As well as a 1 hour observation. You're also required to take a time where you go drive in the back seat with another student who's getting a lesson so that you can see it from a different perspective. You're going to give them some tips and some criticism on how they do and things like that. We find it to be very beneficial as well. Okay. So let's talk next about the age requirements, okay? To be in this program, students must be at least 15 years old by the first day of class. Everybody meets that here, right? Okay, good. You must obtain your permit from the Department of Licenses office or online and bring it along with a photo ID if it's a non-photo permit to all the driving lessons, okay? So you can get your permit down at the office. You can also get it online. And we'll be going over the steps to do that as well tonight. So you'll be able to get that. One of the things I want to talk about, especially if we're under 18, is you have to be over 6. We're going to get to it, but just a reminder about this. Like you want to get, first of all, does anybody in here already have their driving permit? We got one student, right? Okay. And so because before you, regardless, like, let's say I'm 15 and 9 months, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get my license until I've had my permit for 6 months minimum. So we want to get that going as soon as possible. Let's talk about number 3 here on this list, attendance, right? Students can miss up to 3 classes. The course, it says last 5 weeks. That's incorrect. It lasts 15 weeks. And the course requirements must be completed within 4 months. Communication, most communications through email, phone calls, or text messages. So we all have a folder here. Do we all got everybody's folder yet? Or are we still working on those? We're gonna put all, they're coming in here. We're gonna fill those out tonight. Okay, so we're gonna have a parents number, students number, email. Okay, what else? Full payment is required before the end of the course unless payment arrangement is made. Why is that? Why? Because in order to get any type of license or anything, we have to put in the system that you've completed the program. Part of completing the program is the payment. Okay, so I just want to be upfront about that. Okay, so what about the classroom sessions? 30 hours are required by DOL. It's going to take us 15 weeks to complete the course. The course will be either here in person or on Zoom, right? The link for Zoom is looking for something to here. I'm just going to put it up here a little bit lower than where it is here. It's not going to be as easy for everybody to see, but we'll have this on here, okay? 263-724 2079. Okay. Now, approved by the DLS, students must attend regularly and pass the final test with 80% or higher. What can I say about the Zoom? Right. So, like, you know, I've like I said, I've been teaching school outside in regular school for many years. And me, like a lot of students, like had a time like a year and a half, 2 years with these Zoom classes. So what can I say on this? I have students that go to all the classes on Zoom and they pass the test the first time. No problem. I also have students that don't, right? So for me, like there's no personal preference for me. There's no personal preference for me. I can say this, like from a parent's point of view, for myself, if I'm paying $600, $700 for my child to go to something, they're going to be there every day and they're going to be taking notes and showing them to me. But we all have our own budget and we all have our own time thing. And I don't mean this as like a bad thing, but just a reminder about that. Like no student is like, if they're on Zoom and they need me to stop, they need me to repeat it, I got no problem. We'll keep doing it over and over again. Zoom students are going to be treated with the same amount of respect, and their time is going to be treated just as important as students that are here. Although I would say that it's very unlikely that students that are here for all the sessions don't pass the test on the first time. We'll get into that as well. Some more about that down here at number 4. So the class days for you guys is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You guys' class is going to be Thursday. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I do believe, and I don't want to say this, I do believe because I have a class right now that is from 4 to 6. 4 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. And there's going to be 2 more weeks left in that one. And we are really inclined to move this class into that slot when that time comes. So that's something for parents and students that I want you to think about, that if that's something that you have an objection to, or you think that won't work out for you, to pull us aside like afterwards or whatever. And we'll see what we can do for that, because we don't want to force anybody to do that. But I think that we would prefer that, and you guys may prefer that as well. So I got a question here from somebody in the Zoom chat. How many time tries do you get on the final if you fail? As many as you can. If you fail the final, you can take it again tomorrow, the next day. You can come in here every day of the week. You can take it over. We're not going to punish you. You're not going to get charged more for it. But it's not that hard.
You have to pass within 6 months.
Right. Okay. You do have to pass it within 6 months, though. Okay. So, absences, we talked about this a little bit more. Missed classes need to be made up as soon as the next class is offered. So, for instance, today in my 4 to 6 class, I was on chapter 12, and a student.
What class? What class number?
It was class number 11. And I was on chapter 12 and 13 for that. So a student came in and to make those up so that they could get those all done, okay? More than 3 absences or excessive tardiness results in retaking the course. Okay, so what do we mean by this? This is just like this. We're giving you a 3 as a grace period. This is a required, these amount of hours are required by the state. This isn't because my personal preference that I'm trying to charge people more or anything, or any of us down here, anything like that. But remember, like, we get audited by them often. We have to be able to show them that since we are a state-sponsored testing center and a classroom for the state's classes, that we're meeting the criteria that they set forth. Okay. So number 4, exams. The final exam will be at the end of the course. If a student fails the exam, they must retake it as early as possible. The final exam consists of 50 multiple choice questions. They're at the end of the chapters. So every one of these questions we'll be going over. We'll be going over them in every class. Those will be the questions that are on the test, as well as the last week we'll be doing a review of those as well. So nobody is going to be going into it blindly. Okay, it's going to be real easy. The test is going to be the questions that we went over in class. Okay. So here, number 5, parents, okay? Parents must attend an informational session, which is the first day of class. That's what we're here for today, right? This is mainly, right, just to like let us know what our expectations are from you and from your students, as well as to hear from you what your expectations are from us, right? So that we make sure that we are fulfilling our end of the bargain, fulfilling the trust with your students, right? And fulfilling what you're paying for, right? You know, the state has made it mandatory now that in order to get a license under 16, you have to complete these classes, okay? So number 6, special needs. If your student has IEP, IEP or anything else that we need to take into account, please pull us to the side afterwards. Give us a call whenever. We are going to do everything we can to accommodate you, okay? What else? Students cannot enroll in a driver's education course after the first 3 classes have been completed, right? So if you have somebody, you're like, hey, I'm in this driving course. They seem really reasonable. The teacher is really nice. I think you should come down here. Just remember, like, after so many weeks, they'll have to get into the next session. They won't be able to get into that one, okay? 6 hours behind the wheel and 1 hour observation for the basic package. Behind the wheel lessons, bring your permit and photo ID to all driving lessons. That's why another reason we want to get the permit. We have had students show up before for their drives and they didn't have their permit yet. We got to get our permit ASAP. Okay. Behind the wheel driving will start beginning the 3rd week of class. So that will be when we'll start scheduling it. The 3rd week, that Sunday, we will sit down and start scheduling people right away for drive times that work for them. Okay, either on weekdays or on weekends. We're open 8 until 8 every day of the week. And so we got no problem accommodating you what works best for you. Okay. So behind the wheel practice, this is especially for parents, right? It's recommended to have practice 1 to 2 hours between each lesson. Okay, so like we're going to go over some things, you know, when it comes to switching lanes, when it goes to all the different parking maneuvers. We're going to go through step by step with your students, give them all the right foundational skills from the very beginning. One of the sayings that I always have for this is that good habits are just like bad habits. They're hard to break, but it's up to us also to get them on the road and practice those right away. So it's like, if we go out, we practice with students, parallel parking around the corner, uphill parking, downhill parking, and then they don't get out and drive and practice these. Then by the time it comes to it, a lot of these things have gone away, as well as we'll talk about it in the next slide as well. But just reminding this, like, the state also requires outside of these 6 hours, a minimum of 50 hours of drive time as well. So just because they're coming here to this class, we still got to get them out there and we still got to drive with them. Okay. So rescheduling or canceling driving lessons requires 2 business days in advance to avoid an $80 cancellation fee. If you do not cancel or no show for your drives, you have to pay, is it 80 or is it 70? 70 discount driving school. Nice. I like that. Okay, so it's 70. Okay, good. So what do we mean by this? So like, you know, I mean, I don't want anybody feeling like hypothetically, like what happens if I come down with strep throat and I didn't get 2 days notice that I was going to be sick. We're going to do everything that we can to accommodate you. Like we put the limit there and the number there because we have to pay an instructor. We schedule with the different driving instructors a time to come in for that, and we got to pay them whether you show up or not, right? So we just want to make sure, just like we take your time seriously, we wanted you guys to take the time of those instructors seriously as well, right? So the main issue is like you see here, no call, no show, right? What's the other issue about it? And this is another one that I really want to emphasize for parents because you guys are paying a lot of money for this, right? Is that if a student, they're scheduled from drive from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, let's say, right? 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., right? Like you want them to be in here at 3:45. So they're ready to go right away, right? Because someone else is going to be scheduled at 5. So the students in reality is going to be coming back at 4:52, 4:55, right? So you got 52 minutes, 55 minutes. We want you to get every bit of that. And you're going to need every bit of that as well for the instruction. So just want to make sure that it's not like because that nobody thinks that like, okay, my time is from 4 to 5. So if I show up at 4:55, like I paid for an hour, I get an hour. Like, no, you get like what's left over from that. So I just also want to really, really drive that home that like, yeah, we want to be there early, especially on our first drive, because we got some additional paperwork we got to fill out our first drive for our drive sheet. Okay. Anybody got any questions so far? Okay, fantastic. When can you get your intermediate driver's license, right? So remember this, like parents, like the driver's license they get when they're 16 is not the same driver's license me and you got when we're 16. It's kind of like what's that called when you get a new job and they give you a few weeks to decide if they that?
Probation.
Yeah, probationary period to see if they really want to keep you or not. So you got to be at least 16 years old. You have to have had your permit for at least 6 months, right? So let's say I'm less than 15 and a half, I'm not in a hurry. But if I'm 15 and a half or over, like I want to get this started right away. Or if my son or daughter is 15 and a half or over, I want to get them started on this right away. Get that for them, okay? You're gonna have to pass the knowledge test and the driving test, okay? The knowledge test and the driving test are different than the end of the test at the end of our class, right? The 50 question test you got to score the 80% on. This is that you passed driving school. The knowledge test, the driving test are separate. The knowledge test, our test covers maybe 60% of what that is. There is more you're going to have to do. And the driving test, as we know, the driving test, I believe you got to get 80% on this. And it's really important. It's really easy to lose points on that. A lot of people, we all, I mean, like as far as parents, we all know a lot of people that didn't pass their driving test their first time or their second time. Okay. What else? Complete the class and pass the final exam. We just kind of talked about in the reverse orders. Complete the 6 hours behind the wheel plus the 1 hour observation. 6, this one here. Have the 50 hours of driving practice and 10 hours at night. Okay. We got this one right here, right? If you take your test down to the DMV, I know for sure they're going to ask for this. If same thing comes when your student comes here to take their test, we're going to ask for this. We got to have this on file. We got to have the driving log on file. Okay. 50 hours with a minimum of 10 of them at night. So that doesn't mean 50 plus 10 for 60. That means 50, that 10 of them got to be at night. If 12 of them at night, it's okay, but we got to at least get 10 at night hours as well. Also, have no traffic violations or pending tickets and no alcohol or drug offenses. Okay. What does this intermediate driver's license consist of? For the first 6 months of having this, no passengers under 20 years old unless they're immediate family. Okay. Number 2, after that, no more than 3 passengers under 20 who aren't family. So this is for the whole first year. Okay. The whole first year of this intermediate driver's license is for a year. Okay. And we have to pass the probationary period for that. Okay. What else? No driving between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. unless with a licensed driver over 25 or for school work or religious activities. So it kind of goes back to the same. I believe that a driver over 25 is what you have to be driving with a permit. So in between 1 and 5, it becomes the same issue as that. What else? Always no using a phone while driving except in emergencies. This is just the same laws as for any of us. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, just give me 1 second. All right, now let's talk about how to get your driver's license number and your instruction permit, okay? I got the License Express video. I want us to all pay attention to this. Should we, what, should we get our phones or tablets out right now? while we're- Not yet, okay. Do I need, am I gonna need to do the display for this, to watch this?
Let's see, play the video, let's see what happens.
In this video, we're going to show
Yeah.
Let's see the video.
Yeah.
You might want to stop the Zoom recording family, or listen.
Let's see if it goes.
It's automatically side by side.
Okay. How to do that,
Oh, we can-
show you how to create.
Huh?
Casey.
What did I do wrong there, huh?
Yeah, duplicate. Yeah. Keep change.
There we go.
Create a License Express account. Go to our homepage at dol.wa.gov. Click
dol.wa.gov. That's where we're gonna do it at, okay?
on License Express in the top right corner. Select License Express for individuals. Next, complete this quick 4-step process. First, enter your full name. Step 2, provide a username with 4 or more characters and your email address. Step 3, create an account password. It must have 10 characters and include upper and lowercase letters, a number, and or special symbol. Last step, go to your email inbox. You'll receive an email with an activation link. Click on this link to activate your account. Type in your username and password, and then that is it. You've completed the first part to creating your own License Express account.
Video number 2.
You've created a License Express account. Now let's take a quick tour. First, log into License Express from dol.wa.gov. You've arrived at License Express for individuals. Let us know if you have a driving record in Washington State. Verify.
So that question they will ask you, do you have a Washington State driving record? So if you have a Washington ID, you need to answer yes. If you never had any Washington ID before, then you need to answer no.
By your full name, date of birth, and address. We'll make sure it matches what we have on file. Make sure to fill out all the other required fields. Get your basic info submitted, you can explore some of the site's key features,
That's it.
like adding a
So sometimes when you're trying to create an account, it might say you cannot do this online. If that happens, it could be two reasons. One, it could be that you're entering things not right, or you might just making a mistake in one simple thing. We can help you fix that. If you can call us or you can come in anytime, we can help you out. Let's say even if we're not able to do it, then the only thing you need to do is go to the Department of Licensing office. Just tell them, hey, I want to get my WDL number. They will give you your WDL number. While you are there, you're gonna call us, say, hey, I have my WDL number, and then we're just gonna tell you to text that number to us. Once you text it, we'll put it into the system, a waiver for you, and then right away within 5 minutes, we'll tell you, hey, go back right now tell them you wanna get your instructional permit. You just go there, take a picture and get your permit like that without taking any test. Any questions?
Once again, here we're looking at here.
Okay, can you go ahead, play record also?
Yep, sorry about that. It's actually still recording.
Okay, so, okay, that's okay then, that's good.
So here we go again. This is just a walking through what we already saw here, right? You're at dol.wa.gov. You're going here to License Express, right? Because there's all these other things today, driver's license, renew tabs.
You can start
Yeah.
this. Yep, that's good.
Yeah, but this isn't it. It's not.
Thank you to duplicate and celebrate, yeah.
Mhm. Go. On to there. Express. Here, join now if you do not already have one. If you already have a WDL number, like you said, a license has to do if you've been given a WDL number. License Express for individuals, not for business. Make your new name. No, your name. Make your username, the email, confirm the email, make the password. It's got to be a password with all the things. And then it's going to send you an email. You're going to go to that email to click the link. Here it is. You'll go there. You'll click on that. Now, this is the next step after that, right?
Once you log in, your username and password.
Now we go back in the WA.G, or you can do that right from there, I think,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you,
you can go from there.
yeah, right. When you click on that link, take it there. Do you have a Washington licensing record? This is, have you been given an established WDL number? Yes or no? What are you looking for? An instruction permit. You're gonna fill this out. What are you gonna need here? What are we gonna need here? We're gonna need your social security number. You're gonna need your parents' WDL number. What else? Is that all?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
That's it.
So towards the end of the month, we're gonna help you guys out, so probably we'll end this course around 7:30. So we can help you, anyone who wants to get their WDL number, the only two things you need, your social security number and also your parents' driver license number or the WDL number, and then we can complete the rest of it here while you're here, or you can do it on home. If you're struggling, having a hard time, you come back tomorrow. We can always do it again, or you can come just a little bit earlier, 30 minutes early before class, or after class, either way, we can help you do it. So the 6 month starts the day you get your permit. So that's why we're stressing a lot. The sooner you get your permit, the time ticks. The 6 month starts.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
We got a few more. I got a few more ones here. Just here we go again. The student driving record. You guys see this? You have to fill it every day. You come to class.
I have that for.
Yeah, these are inside here. We want to start filling these out right now as well. Is that right?
Everybody has their folders? Everybody got it? Okay, good.
We want to start out with these right here.
Yes, this is very important one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these are really important. So what I need you to do here on the top one, and if you mess this up, we'll have to give you another one. So
Yes.
take your time on doing it. Read it clearly about this student name, right? Last, first, middle initial, date of birth, WDL number. If you already got one, you can put it in there. After we get one there, you'll leave that open until then. Residential address here. Student area code, student number, here we go. Parent guardian name, we have to have parent guardian home phone number. There we go. And your email. Besides that, that's all we need for right now, or should we also fill out the first line of this?
Yeah, actually, the first one, let's do it. You can actually click it, you can fill it out. Double click.
This is a,
Okay, it's a PDF, okay. Yeah. So every single day when you come, you basically fill out 1 all the way to 15. All those boxes has to be filled out. So today's date, you put on number 1. So
1/18/25.
Make update, you skip that. Time in 6 p.m. Time out 8 p.m. P and F basically means passing and failing. You leave that blank, and then you put your instructor's name. Where is your name?
Brian Jackson. Brian
So if
Jackson.
you can write down your name somewhere here, let me get that. So if you're coming to class every single day in person, I mean every Saturday and Sunday, then you fill out this sheet every time you come in. If you are planning to attend the class on Zoom, can we have the Zoom number?
It's right on here, 263-724-2079.
Right underneath of
Yep,
your name.
yep.
That's it. So if you're planning to attend the class on Zoom, then you will fill out this at the end of the course when you finish your final exam, i.e. the day when you're taking your final exam. And then you sign the student signature, you leave the instructor's signature, the instructor will sign up there. So that is the Zoom link in case if you are trying to attend on Zoom. So 263-724-2079. So keep that Zoom with you. And sometimes if there's any difficulties, you're not able to log into the Zoom, call us at 206 851 206-851-6647. So if you are on the waiting room, you're not able to get in, or something is happening, you just give us a call. We'll have the receptionist answer that phone. So 206-851-6647. That would be the easiest way to get all of us right away. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions? And sometimes, let's say Brian might not be here. So for example, tomorrow he's not gonna be here. So it is gonna be myself who's gonna be teaching the class, or the other instructor. And so basically we have 3 instructors. So if one instructor is not feeling well, we don't wanna cancel the class or reschedule. So we always have instructor to teach. Yes?
Could you explain the sheet on Zoom again?
Yeah, so if you are on Zoom, don't worry about it because these folders, they stay here. You cannot take it with you. So at the end of the whole course, the last day when you're taking your final exam, we will have time to fill out this whole, will complete it on the final day. So you don't worry about it. But if you're coming in person every single day, you can do it as well. Since you're already here, you can fill it out. And also those who will be attending on Zoom, make sure to have your textbook with you. Because from time to time, we ask you to answer a question. And if you do not read the question and answer it, and if you don't have your textbook, you might be stuck. So just make sure to take your textbook with you if you're planning to attend on Zoom. Any other questions? Good, okay. Good.
Yeah, just a second.
Okay. Probably click. Skip. Okay, so starting chapter 1. So probably it's a good idea to take a break before they start chapter 1. What do you think?
Yeah.
You can just pause the recording. So we'll take a break. Let's say we'll usually give you guys 10-15 minute break just to get refreshed and everything. If parents willing to stay until the end of the class, you're.
All right, students, we're going to get started back again here. And so hopefully, I think in this amount of time, we'll be able to finish this chapter 1 tonight. But that being said, remember, like my time belongs to you. So if I ever get to moving too fast, which happens sometimes, let me know. So I'll stop because we're going to get through all of these regardless. Okay. Hey, can I get you to close that door up there? So let's just talk about chapter 1 here, right? What is the main things in this one? Recognizing the responsibilities accompanying the privilege of driving. We're going to look at some statistics about teen driving and crashes. Those are some very big eye openers. Identifying the characteristics of driving risk. Progress through the stages of graduated driver's licensing. That's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. And making the most of parent guardian involvement. Okay. So let's jump in here right now. How to drive. We're going to go right here to our pre-assessment questions. Page 3 on our book right here. Page 3. This is where they're going to be at right here. These top corner right here. The orange ones right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to ask you the question. You write what you think the answer is. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to give you the correct answer. This is just a pre-quiz for your own good, for you to see what you already know before we get into it. Just the same way as the end of the chapter quiz is. Right? Like I'm not grading you on these. You're not getting graded on these. This is for your own personal benefit. You already paid the money. You're already going to put in the time. You know what I mean? You might as well make sure that you're picking some stuff up, right? So let's go right here. What does GDL stand for? And just write the letter that you think is the correct letter in the box. And when I give you the correct answer, you got it right, leave it alone. If you got it wrong, just cross it out.
Don't forget to record.
I am recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and the correct answer on this is going to be C, graduated driver's license. I think we just talked about that, right? Number 2 here, successfully completing a driver's education course will guarantee that you become a safe driver. That's only 2 choices. I'll give you guys like 5 seconds, true or false, to figure that one out. I think we all know that, like, that's false. This is going to be on our workbook on page 3, chapter 1, top right corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just a pre-quiz. Remember, none of this you're getting graded on. You're not missing out on anything if you get it. So the next question is going to do number 3. You're just going to write what you think the answer is, and then you'll see at the end, like, oh, I got that many right. You know, let's say you got them all right. You're like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap this chapter. I already know everything that's in it. You get them all wrong. You're like, okay, today I'll pay attention. You get half of them wrong. You're like, you know, I'm going to pay attention like half the time. All right. Number 3, nearly what of all drivers are either charged with a traffic offense or involved in a crash during their first 12 months of driving? This one, like when you look at those choices there, these are all bad choices, right? The correct answer on this one's going to be B. 1/2. Like that's just way too much, right? And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that some more. What the research says, and I'll also give you some of my own personal opinions about some of those. Okay. And for those of you that are in the Zoom class, you guys are just looking at these. You think you got the answer, and you see if you got it right or wrong. It's no harm, right? You guys can come pick up your books anytime. You guys don't have to come during class time. You can come down here any day of the week and pick them up. Just go and talk to the people at the front desk. Let them know that you're here to pick up your books. You weren't here on class to pick it up. It's no problem. Okay. New drivers tend to what the risks involved in driving on any road? The correct answer for this one, I think probably a lot of you guys are going to get this one's right. Is going to be B, underestimate, right? Like, you know, one of the sayings is right is that the young man, he takes his health and he takes his health and he takes his youth for granted, right? So by the time that you figure out that life is finite and that, you know, what's going on and what you need to do with your life. A lot of time for many of us, the life has already passed because this life is a very short life, right? So yeah, we tend to underestimate it, and that's once again is that because of kind of like just feeling of, it's just like the same thing. Like when I used to be, you know, uh, years ago in high school playing basketball or football, right? I could twist my ankle bad, sprain my ankle and get it taped up and be back on the field in maybe 3 days. I can tell you guys at 49 years old, like I'm gonna be limping around for a good 2 weeks at the minimum, right? Because it just changes, right? And so when we're young, we tend to think that, and also we have an idealistic way of looking at the world. Like I think to myself, I have a driver's license. I went to driving school. I scored 90% on my test. I scored 90% of my driver's exam. I know how to drive. I know how to drive. I know how to drive because he or she doesn't take into account that these other people on the road, they don't know how to drive. They don't all have a license. They don't all have insurance. So I just want to cut this one off at the beginning, right? Like somebody hitting you with their car does not mean you're getting a settlement for $280,000. Okay. So you're thinking, oh, yeah, it's his fault. Just remember the difference between a good driver and a great driver is the great driver finds a way to avoid all the maniacs out there. And places like Seattle on the road, it's full of maniacs. Okay. So let's look at number 5. Driving coaches can be more effective. Driving coaches means like parents or teachers if they all of the above, right? All of the above. Let's talk here. First one's going to be the driver's license, right? Driving brings many important responsibilities. What's another point? Teens are more likely to be involved in crashes, and crashing involving teen drivers are more likely to be severe. So let's just talk about something that, like, by the end of this course, you guys are going to be laughing because you've heard me say this so many times. Driving is the most dangerous thing you're ever going to do in your life. It's more driving than a plane, more dangerous than flying, more dangerous than deep sea crab fishing in Alaska, more dangerous than going on boats, speed boats in rivers, right? Like, and a lot of people don't really take that into account. And so I just want to remind you that like the great responsibility in driving, it's not just like, oh, this car's going, it's just a nice place that stays warm. It keeps me from the rain, it gets me from point A to point B, and the radio is really nice and the seats are heated and yeah, it's real nice and I'm real nice. We want to realize that it's not just ourselves and the people in our car that we're putting in risk. So other people on the road as well. And some people on the sidewalk and stuff that have nothing to do with it at all. I can't tell you how often, not very often, but from time to time over my years, I've seen accidents where a person is trying to swerve away from another car. They pull up on the sidewalk, hit somebody that the person on the sidewalk, they're not even thinking that a car is going to jump the curb and hit them. Right. And so this could be me or you. Right. And so we just want to take that. Like, I mean, obviously there's the legal repercussions for that, but also think about like the moral and ethical repercussions and like what it's going to be like living your life and going to sleep at night running over some grandma on the sidewalk. I'm not saying that's going to happen to any of us, but just remember, like there's a great driving a 2-ton motor vehicle, there's a great amount of responsibility and there's a lot that can happen. Okay, so let's jump in here about the driver's license. Is driving a right or a privilege? Anybody got an idea? It's a privilege, right? That's why we have to like pay $83. By the way, Washington State has the most expensive driver's license in the United States at $83. There you go. Look, I'm smiling. Nice. Let's talk about the highway transportation system. What is the highway transportation system? It's the roads, it's the drivers, it's the cars. Okay, so let's watch a short video on that really quick.
The infamous driver's license. What does it mean to have a license to drive? To most drivers, regardless of their age, it means freedom to come and go when and where they please. It means more choices and more opportunities. But along with these benefits comes a lot of responsibility, primarily the responsibility to drive safely every time you're in the highway transportation system. North America has the largest and safest highway transportation system in the world, with more freeways, traffic lights, cars, drivers, more everything than anywhere else. Although it may seem complicated, there are actually only 3 components to the highway transportation system: roadways, vehicles, and drivers. First is the system of over 4 million miles of roadways. These roadways have been engineered to help traffic move efficiently and safely over every mile with control devices where roads cross or join together. The roadway system features all types of roads on which people drive in all types of conditions. The second component is the collection of vehicles that operate on U.S. roadways. All kinds of vehicles operate on the roads. They operate at different speeds and are in different conditions, from brand new to vehicles that need a little attention. These differences can make for a complex driving environment. To survive it, we must know what other drivers might do, and we need to be aware of our own vehicle's limitations and how to adjust to them. The third element of the highway transportation system is the driver. Unfortunately, drivers are not exactly the safest element. More than 9 out of 10 crashes involve driver error. Of course, all drivers are different. They vary tremendously in terms of skill, knowledge, judgment, and driving habits. As a result, some are very safe and others are everything but safe. Many of the everything but are new drivers, newly licensed 16-year-olds. How do they compare with the average driver? For every mile they drive, they are 10 times more likely than an adult driver to have a crash. Even compared to 18-year-olds, they're twice as likely to experience a crash. Why is this? Are new drivers maniacs? Daredevils? No, but young drivers tend to drive differently compared to experienced drivers. They tend to drive too fast and pay less attention to driving. Plus, their visual searching and space management skills are not as developed as experienced drivers. And because of their inexperience, young drivers make more mistakes behind the wheel, like entering a curve a little too fast and going into a skid, failing to see a pedestrian who steps into the street, or being distracted and not noticing that traffic has stopped.
All right, nice. Okay, let's jump in here. 3 components of HTS. We talked about those. Got right here on page 3, right there. Components of HTS. You guys can write those down right there. Like I said, roads, vehicles, and drivers. Right? Just like I said, these things, it's like I'm not following you around. I don't want to see it, but like all the studies and my years in teaching has also shown that like writing stuff down, taking notes, like a lot of notes that I've taken, especially like when I was at medical school, was like it was like I never went back and looked at them. But the having to think about it and writing it down, it helped me memorize so much better than just sitting there like listening to the lecture, like, yeah, I got it. Right. So let's look at some of these, right? What are these roads? Okay. Different kind of roads, right? Got dirt roads, got snowy roads, got roads with all type of signs, roads with tight corners. Okay. What else we got? We got the vehicles. Nice vehicles right here. This video here, right? This one is a real nice one here, right? Like this one shows like this is the Volvo 460, Volvo V60, 40 miles per hour crash. I want you guys to think about that, like 40 miles per hour crash. It doesn't seem that fast. A lot of us are going to be driving over 40 miles per hour all the time. I mean, like from the time I get off my back street where I live on, all the way to my work, I'm driving over 40 miles an hour. So look at how nice this car is, and then and then afterwards we'll have a couple talk about it, a little bit, some of my opinions, and if you guys got any questions, can.
Full scan investments, so you can count on.
Wow, nice. I mean, just also just like that's really impressive. I mean, I can say like that's really impressive that's really impressive how protected they were. That's quite nice engineering. Cars didn't used to be like this. This right here, there's going to be a rollover accident. I want you guys to pay attention to this because I'm going to have a question about something that we see in this one after when it's over. Okay. There's a rollover at 30 miles an hour. You gotta watch this right here. Yeah, so what I want to talk about right there is like, first of all, like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I mean, like, I feel like that car could still drive. Another thing, like these roll cages that they have in these cars, like for instance, when I was growing up, like that car you roll over like that, it just got crushed like a soda can. You just got crushed inside of there. So that's really amazing too, that like that could roll like that with that speed and it doesn't crush the thing. It's got a roll cage in there to hold it all together. So the amount of research that they put in designing these cars is really amazing. What I do want to add though is just like the part where I told you guys watch that there where the thing snapped to the side of the neck. We could easily see that breaking a neck or at least fracturing a clavicle and a shoulder right there as well. Like even with all of that, there's still a possibility that driver breaks his neck and dies or has some serious injury from that. Not all broken necks end in death, but all broken necks end up with a lot of pain and generally some lifetime lifetime problems with it. You know what I mean? Maybe it heals, but you know, it's not feeling the same, you know. All right, here's the last one, the drivers, right? The last component. And the drivers are the most critical part, right? They have the highest effect on the safety and the operation, right? The roads, okay, you know, sometimes the road's icy, sometimes there's some potholes in the road. Yeah, sometimes the car, it just the wheel blows out of nowhere. But the majority of accidents, they're because of the people, right? Because of the people. What else do we got on the road besides you? Now we got the walkers, we got the moose, we got the people on bikes. So remember about that, right? And they're a lot less safe than you are. They don't have the airbag and the roll cage and the seat belts and all that great stuff. Okay. So the driver's got to monitor the traffic control devices. We're looking down, looking over here on the left, the yellow right there. Boom. Traffic regulations, watching up here, boom. Search and obtain, okay, right there, looking what's going on. We got to always be paying attention. Students, we always got to be looking down the road, looking ahead of ourselves, looking for potential accidents, potential idiots, people that look like they're playing on their cell phone, people that look like they're drunk. They're all over the place, right? And the sooner you realize to identify them, you're going to avoid them. So we'll just talk about something here as well that we're going to talk about a lot. That's part of this curriculum here. Let's talk about read the road. Right speed for right now. So what's that mean? Speed limit's 35, but it's dark and it's raining heavily. Maybe I take it down to 28. Eyes up, brains on. Just like I'm saying, we're watching down. We're always looking around. And this really ties into the same thing as the A, anticipate their next move. Like you're paying attention, a good driver, he or she is paying attention that somebody's going to do something and something crazy is going to happen on the road. And I'm on the highway, I'm doing 60 miles an hour. And what am I going to do if that happens, right? And this is that last one there, a big donut of space around you, right? About not getting jammed up. Like, for instance, I was driving with a student today and like we were on the highway, and she kind of went wrong one way, like going off the road. And when she tried to move back, she went all the way over into the other lane. Well, it's a good thing that there was no other car in that lane, because she went over there so quick. I couldn't stop her, and we would have hit them. Um, so this is why about just remembering that, keeping space around you. Obviously, the hardest part of the donut is the people behind you, but the people and how much space you got to the front of you and to the left and the right of you, you got a lot of control over that. That's something we need to take advantage of, right? Like, just remembering, like, driving is a full-time job. Like, it's just, it's not it's not as it's not as fun as, like, not as fun as your average teen thinks it is. Like, there's a lot of stress from it. I can tell you, when I drive with my family down to Oregon, right? Kids are playing in the back seat. Wife is reading stuff online. They're taking naps. It's just like, and by the time I arrive, I'm like, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. I need to take a nap. And they're like, I don't understand. Like, it's time to have fun. I'm like, I got a headache, right? I've been like looking at the road for hours. I got cramps in my legs, my elbows are sore, because the whole time I'm just like, looking, where are they at? Who's going to be the one to try and take us out? And if you're on the road long enough, it happens. I mean, it's happening all the time. Okay. So let's talk about this one right here, right? Anticipation, right? And prevention of additional demands, right? So right here, like, it's raining heavily. I mean, I probably got my windshield wipers on, but it's raining so heavy. And this happens sometimes. Sometimes it starts raining so heavily, your windshield wipers are all the way on. Best thing for you to do is just kind of get off the road for a few minutes, right? What else? Stress, fatigue, distractions. My bad kids in the back of the car, kicking my seat, fighting with each other, There you go. How many people are killed in vehicle motor crashes every year? In the United States alone, 30,000. That's 2 to 3 fully loaded airplanes per week, right? Every week. Not 2 to 3 loaded airplanes. 2 to 3 loaded airplanes every week of the year. If that was the case, who would be flying? Like, hey man, I'm gonna give you this free ticket to go to Indianapolis this weekend. You're like, yeah, no thanks. Indianapolis isn't fun at all. Like, okay. Like, here, I'm going to give you a free ticket so you can go to San Francisco. You're like, flying to San Francisco? I'll just drive. It'd only take me 13, 14 hours. I'd rather do that. Or one of these large cruise ships sinking every month. Okay, there you go, right? You want to go to Alaska or Baja on the boat? Probably not. Probably not. What about, like we talked about, the highways and the road and the cars? It says here on some of the notes, like, what percent of all crashes are due to human error? 90%. 90%. So what are some of the crash factors? We got this little wheel here on page 3 right there. The vehicles, the roads, or the drivers. So let's talk about a couple of these here. What do we got here? We got wet roads. What's that going to be? Anyone? It's going to be the roads. Merging of traffic. What do you guys think that is? Roads, drivers, or vehicles? Drivers, exactly. Loss of brakes. Vehicles, sharp curves. Roads, snow-covered roads. Tire pressure, right? That could be both, right? So we'll get to that as well. Like, you got to kind of keep up on the maintenance of your car and looking at that, right? Like, if you got a car, a tire that blows out or something, like I had that happen the other week. I tell you guys a short story about it. Like, I buy tickets a lot. I mean, tires a lot from Les Schwab, because they have like the best like insurance deal like in America on it. Their tires cost a little bit more, but basically anytime something happens to them, they basically just give you a new tire or fix it for you right away. And so I was at the children's hospital, and I came out, my tire was flat. I got a pump in my car that I can pump into the cigarette lighter, and I pumped it up. It kept up. I went to there. They like fixed it for me. They're like, oh, it's not that bad. We're just gonna fix it for you. They like put some type of plug in where the hole was. Well, man, a couple days later, I'm driving down I-5 and tire blows out, right? And like, man, it was a nightmare. You know what I mean? It was a nightmare. And I was pretty upset with them, with them because like I just brought in my car and instead of giving me a new tire, they went the cheap route. They repaired it. Yeah. So obviously they gave me a new tire, but I wasted 2 hours out there on the side of the road. So yeah, low tire pressure can be both of them. It can be driver. It can be that. It's, so you got to pay attention to that. Okay. Pothole. That's going to be your roads right there. Okay. Let's move on here. Right. Okay. Yeah. I've got my, student driver. Okay. Nice. Well, okay, but there's a couple things I want to talk about here, right? And we know this already. We already know this. Like, taking this course is not going to make you a good driver. Takes a long time. License just means you got the basic knowledge, right? Research says on average it takes 5 years for you guys. Anybody in here is 17 yet? Okay, great. You're 17 or you're 18? Okay, great. So we're talking like 23 years old before you're an average driver for you. And the rest of you guys, about the same age, right? And to become a good driver, like someone like me, like I'm not an excellent driver, like a good driver, that's going to take you till like at least 30, 31 years old, right? Another 10 years after that. Like it's not that, I mean, it's just not that simple because what it is just like so much of driving, especially in these cities and stuff with these fast roads and these highways with these aggressive drivers and bad drivers and Snapchat drivers is like, I mean, it's a madhouse out there, and like you're always trying to stay ahead of them and avoid them and not get hit by them. And it's crazy. And you get stressed out. And you'll find out it's not as much fun. And so, like I said, is that a good driver, yeah, he or she can drive. And it's like when they got an accident, it's like, yeah, because it's somebody else's fault. Yeah, it is somebody's fault. But a real good driver, a great driver, he or she avoids getting in an accident all the time because they're always looking out for these idiots on the road. Right. So, like we talked about, like most new drivers, what was it, half of them get an accident or some tickets in the front year? Look, I don't think that means that I don't think that means that everybody that half this class that has to happen to. I think that in this class, if we take some of these statistics seriously, we take it easy, that when we go out and drive, we listen to our instructors and follow the instructions and we do that and take it easy. I think that all of us can really break that. We can let some other group of people be the half that gets into those and hopefully we can get all of us in here to avoid that. I don't want to see anybody in here being those ones. Okay, so let's talk about this. What do we got here? 10-point scale right there. How difficult will it be to learn to drive? What do you guys want to circle there? I know I made it sound like it's really difficult, but I don't know if we have to suggest really difficult. I'm not saying that to scare you, just to like remind you about that. Like all of you guys are going to end up being great drivers, right? Like from our instructors and from the class, you're all going to be great drivers. But the main difference is the ones of you that get in accidents are going to be the ones that are assuming that other people are like you, that are assuming that somebody else came in the thing and took these classes and took it seriously and took the driver's instructors seriously and did this because you're assuming that you're assuming the guy, I mean, you're assuming the guy's got a license. You're assuming he's got insurance. You're assuming a whole lot of stuff that's just not the facts. Okay. Let's talk about some of these facts of teen driving right here. Okay. What's the most common causes of crashes involving teen drivers? Oh no. Let's talk about crash versus crash rates, right? This is just like a simple algebraic expression. All of you guys are at the age that you're working on some of this stuff in your math classes, right? Like, so let's say there's 200 crashes in our city last year. With crash rates, it depends on how much someone drives, right? So if two drivers both have a crash, one drives 1,000 miles a year and one drives 10,000 miles a year, who has a higher crash rate? The one in 1,000. Every 1,000 miles, he gets an accident. The other guy gets an accident every 10,000 miles, okay? And so, it's a different way of counting it, right? So let's talk about these crash rates. We got here this on page 4. We got this one here, crash rate per 100 million miles driven. Okay. Now, before we get going here, let's just look at this. What is there anything on that one that's really surprising for you guys? The one that was really surprising for me is that the 60 to 69 level is so low. You know, we tend to think about people between 60 to 70 as being like, you know, on their final chapter, right? And wow. Now we get to 80 plus, right? Because like we all agree that like, you know, if we got anybody in our family that's like 83 years old, like yeah, maybe they're not the same drivers they were when they were 50, right? Let's look at some of these other ones though here and just like kind of look at the comparison. Even though we're looking at that, right? The 60 to 69 is the lowest, but besides that, from 30 to 80, I mean, 80 plus is the only one outside of there, but from 30 to 80, it's pretty much the same, right? You know? Let's look though at some of these though, right? Let's look at 25 to 29. Boom. Wow. Way off the chart, right? Way out of the norm for that. 525 per 100 million. You guys can fill that out if you want to. If not, you don't have to, but it might be helpful for you to look at that later on. And remember, you don't have to get it exactly where they got it on there. Let's look at this one. 20 to 24, even more. About 725 crashes. All right. No. 570, my bad. 570. This one is the 725. So 18 to 19, we're starting to look real high there now, right? But this next one, 16 to 17, your guys' age, no matter what you think, no matter what I've told you so far, you guys got no idea what's coming on this one. This one, every time I do this chapter on this course, I'm always amazed by this one. Look at that. 1,425, like double what the 18 to 19 are. So you guys are in a real dangerous group on there. So like, let's make this group of students in this class that group that doesn't do that. Like, let's say even if we can just make it to 20, right? So let's watch about this video here from our friends at AAA about young drivers and risk and see what they have to say. Okay. Some of these videos are nice. Some of them are corny. We'll see.
Whereas experienced drivers more fully understand the risks involved in driving, most new drivers do not, at least when starting out. Unfortunately, many of them learn about risk the hard way. It's important for any driver to be continually gauging the level of risk because that helps you determine what adjustments you need to make to your speed and your position on the roadway. Although it can be challenging for young drivers to determine the exact level of risk at any point on the roadway, there are guidelines to help you assess risk more accurately and determine an appropriate response. First, recognize that risk is always present. Every minute you're behind the wheel, you are at risk. There's always a possibility that something can go wrong. Next, understand that the actual risk at any point in time might not match what you perceive the risk to be. Unfortunately, young drivers tend to underestimate the amount of risk they face at any point in time. This can actually increase the chance of a collision. That's why it's important to be realistic about your driving and understand that it will be years before you become an experienced or excellent driver. Third, every road user affects the level of risk at any point in time. Depending on their actions, drivers can either increase or decrease risk for themselves and other drivers. The best approach to driving is to assume that other roadway users will always take the action that puts you at the most risk. The final guideline is that anytime you're behind the wheel, you have a variety of tools you can use to reduce your risk and the risk to others. Two of the easiest tools to use are your vehicle's speed and its position on the roadway relative to other vehicles. It's important to realize that anytime you're behind the wheel, you are in control. You determine your speed, you determine your vehicle's position, and you determine how you interact with other roadway users. The lessons of experience are powerful, but they can be painful as well. That's where driver education comes in. It familiarizes you with the challenges of driving, but in low-risk environments. Driver education is an opportunity to learn much of the information and skills that you'll need to be a good driver and reduce your risks on the road. It also points out some of the problems and challenges that new drivers usually face behind the wheel. It won't be easy. Driving may look pretty simple, but if it were, there wouldn't be millions of reported crashes each year.
Right, nice, right? Number one killer in between age 15 and 20. First year driving is by far going to be the most dangerous. So let's definitely make that our intention right now, all of us, that like, we're gonna make it through that first year, right? And not having any type of crashes. Okay. What are the key behaviors that are seen a lot of the time? Speeding, failing to yield the right of way, driving too fast for the road conditions, being distracted, alcohol and other drugs, and tailgating. Tailgating. What are some other factors? Day of the week, right? Weekends are more hazardous. More than one half of crashes involving teen drivers occur on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That's kind of like a loaded question, though, too, right? Because kind of like teens, right? Most of us don't drive to school, and we're at school on those. So most teen drivers driving is happening on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So, and remember, like 3 days is really close to half the week. So that one itself, I'm not so shocked by that one. I don't see that one as being so much, but be aware. I mean, tell you about this Friday night or Saturday night, a whole lot more drunks and crazies on the road. Okay. What about the risk? Risk is the chance of injury, damage, or loss. Okay, what else? Time of day, right? Teens are twice as likely to crash between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. as they are during daylight. I mean, that kind of goes for all of us, right? I mean, it's kind of like that. Like, if I'm not out driving after midnight, I got a less chance of getting pulled over by the police too, right? Because I mean, at the very least, it's just a matter of the odds, right? Like there's way less cars on the road. What else we got here, huh? Risks are lower when a young person drives purposely, like they're going to a reason, school, home, work, sports events. So we should be aware of that, right? Because like I'm not that far removed from being a young person and realizing that like, yeah, a lot of time a young person has a car or access to a car before they have their own house or apartment or something. So a lot of time to entertain your friends or to have company, like the car becomes that area, right? So I'm not so much like against that, but just about like having a purpose, right? Like if driving is the most dangerous thing I'm ever going to do, every minute I'm on the road, I'm putting myself at more risk. So at least like let's drive with a purpose, right? That doesn't mean that we can't hang out and go talk or whatever and those type of things. But look, at the same time, it's the winter time, whatever. Me and my friends, we can go drive to the lake or somewhere over there and park the car and turn on the heater and talk there. It's just kind of about that, about having a purpose, right? Because like the whole thing, just like cruising around and chatting, it's usually a recipe for an accident, right? Because your friend, man, he or she, they're really funny. They got good jokes. That's why you're friends with them, right? They know how to make you laugh, and it take your eyes off the road, right? Okay. Level of access to a vehicle, purpose, and destination. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Don't doubt that. Okay, what about our pal right here, right? What are some increases in what increases it? Teen drivers at night, 3 more times fatality rates than this during the day. Yeah, I mean, that's for all of us. Fatality rates is 4 times higher for crashes when the teen driver is not speeding. Okay, I mean, same thing. But here's one we can though, the passengers. Fatality rates in crashes with a teen driver carrying only one teen passenger found to be 50% higher than crashes in which a teen was driving alone. Does anybody have any insight on that? I mean, I got my own. Does anybody want to share what they think about why that is? Why a teen driving with another teen, right? I mean, right, obviously, like if my nephew or my son's driving with me, right, it's like, and he starts like trying to chuckle it up with me. I'm like, will you just shut up and keep your eyes on the road? But your friends, they're not going to talk to you that way, right? You're like, man, get the heck out of my car. Go hop on the bus, buddy. You don't like me. You don't like my jokes. Get out, right? And also like Also, like maybe because of their immaturity or inexperience. When I say immaturity and inexperience, right, I don't mean this as as an insult, right? Like by default, by definition, right? I'm mature, you're immature. I'm experienced, you're inexperienced. This isn't me. I mean, just like you guys may be healthier and better looking than me. Like it just is what it is. Like, I mean, it's not it's not if we got to go run a mile and race in a mile or a mile and a half race, you might have more action at it than me. There you go. Like it's nothing personal, right? It's not like, oh, you're immature, you're inexperienced. Like, yeah, okay, you know. Um, so being able to, and this is something as well that you know, you can kind of develop that, right? So just wanted to touch on that really quickly about that driving with your friends. Sometimes they can be more distracting because they don't understand the severity, right? They didn't have the $600 to go down to the driving school and get a license at 16 years old like you did. So they're counting on you to do it. Now they want to get in your car and act like an idiot, like jumping out the window and standing out the sunroof and acting like an idiot. And you're just like, man, you know, and like, oh man, why do you have to be like that? We're just having fun. And you're like, okay, and I'm not against fun, right? But just about knowing when to put your foot down, right? Nighttime, speeding, passengers, right? Just like we talked about. Okay? Understanding risks. Okay. What are some of the things we're talking about? Decide the risks there or not. Well, major differences between experienced drivers is the ability to accurately judge the level of risk. Okay. So, a lack of awareness or the inability to correctly assess traffic or roadway conditions often results in late, inappropriate, or the total lack of driver response. So, right, yeah, I mean that's what my advantage is. I've seen people get in accidents, right? I've known people get in accidents. I've been on the road where my car hit black ice and I slid out of control and I ended up not crashing, right? Like where you may panic. So none of these are good or bad. They just are what they are. Okay. So here, right, you might assume this person's going to have a left, take a left turn, and they got their signal on, right? Okay. When stopped in traffic, you might assume the driver's going to move ahead as soon as they can. You might assume the oncoming driver will let you turn left in front of him, but it's better not to assume. Okay. So let's talk about some of the characteristics of risk. We talked about this already. You risk every minute you're on the road, right? These are ones that I drove home with you, right? There you go, right? So you can't do that, okay? So I'm thinking 742. Did anybody wants to work on any more thing about getting their permit or anything like this? Anybody got any more? Okay, good. So we talked about maybe finishing a day at 740 or 745. You guys want to cut it right here? We got some done today. I'll write that down. I got some stuff I got some things I gotta take my wife to tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be here for class, but I will be here next week with you guys. I also want you guys to think about, like I said before, about that. Is there anybody just off the top of your head, like, are any of you guys opposed when the 4 to 6 slot moves in to moving this to an earlier time for 4 to 6 instead of 6 to 8? Or do any of you guys really like the 6 to 8? Or is everybody you're shaking your head like, yeah, I'd like to move to 4 to 6, or I really like 6 to 8?
I like.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Yeah, me as well too. So we'll see about that. You know, I'll keep you guys updated on that. And you'll be with one of the other instructors tomorrow. And I'll be back in next Saturday. And we'll be here. And yeah, if you guys got any questions, that's fine. If not, we can help you guys with doing some of that stuff. And just, yeah, want to just, and Zoom students, same thing for you guys. And just, yeah, just like want to let you know that, you know, I talked about it with the parents here as well. It's just like, you know, I really look forward to working with you guys and doing the best job that I can for you and trying to arm you with some good skills that are going to benefit you. You know, I want you to benefit from your time here. And you know, I'm always gonna be easy about it too, right? Like my job, and the good thing about here is like this isn't like a government school where you gotta be there and get 23, 24 credits or whatever it is to graduate or whatever. Like, hey, I mean, I joke about it, you know, the pay's the same, like whether you do well or not, but you know, like let's work together at what your pace is. You know what I mean? If you need to take a lot of notes, take them. If you don't need to take a lot of notes, take them. Don't. If you find yourself getting to the end of the chapter, I mean that's why I really say about like the beginning of the chapter quiz and the end of the chapter quiz, just so you can judge where you're at, like you know what you know ahead of time, and then everything that's going to be at the end of the chapter quiz is something that was in there, right? And so you can just identify it for yourself. Remember, because I'm not grading these, I'm not taking these from these. Like we're all here because we want to be here. This isn't like one of these things like I got to do this to graduate. You guys are like, I want to get a license. Unfortunately, it's not like when I was growing up, like the state has created this type of thing. I mean, it works out for me financially, right? Because you guys are like a captive audience. Like I want my license, I have to come, I have to pay the money, and I gotta listen to this guy just mumble on for hours. Yeah, well, there you go. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so Zoom students, I'm gonna end the meeting for you guys unless any of you guys have any questions pertaining to any of these things. All right, Zoom students, I'm ending the meeting. Your guys' class will be tomorrow here at 6 until 8. Okay, everybody else here, everybody, where are we at? Anybody needs any help with anything? What are we thinking, huh? Where are we at? What are we working on?